Hello, UCE families. Welcome to week 3 of our theme of the month, Imagination. Well, this week we are focusing on the packet sections called From the Mailbox and On the Porch. First, to start, I'd like to light the chalice. With a few words written by Reverend Scott Taylor. In the soft light of this flame, may our lives shimmer now. May we notice new possibility in those relationships that seem lost. May the turning of the year give birth to a dream. May the emerging light pull a new story into view. May what is give way to what might be. May we believe again in the world we imagine. So to start, we'll focus on our Soulful Home packet and the From the Mailbox section. This is a part where it connects our theme with the greater world, and in particular with our efforts to focus on anti-racism and to fight against white supremacy. And in this month's packet, there are 2 activities. The first is called Capitalist Imaginings. Sounds a little strange, huh? This is meant more for parents and older kids, teens, who have experience with being a consumer, spending their own money and all that kind of stuff. The idea of this activity is that it's based on an Instagram by a woman named Cara Pearson, who posed the question, who are you outside the system of capitalism? So try to imagine that. What are you like outside the system of capitalism? How would you describe yourself? What do you see and who are you? And in this activity, there's a little bit of a challenge. And the challenge is for each of you to make a list of as many things that you can that say everything about you that is not derived from or powered by capitalism. And the challenge is to see if you can come up with at least 10. One of them, to start off with, for an example, would be that you're a Unitarian Universalist, right? The idea is that hopefully you will discover that you, each other, we are all more than what we buy, sell, or consume in this wonderful society we live in. So see what you do with that challenge. The next activity is called Imagining a New World. Many of you may be fans of science fiction and fantasy. I was when I was younger, but not so much now. Well, apparently there's a genre called speculative fiction. I'm not familiar with this, so I'll have to check it out some more. If you look in the Soulful Home packet, you'll find some links about Black speculative fiction to learn more about Black authors in this genre. And this activity in the packet is connected to this. And the idea is to watch segments of the sci-fi brand Dust's 5-part animated documentary on Afrofuturism. And you'll find a link to that in the packet as well. And then there's more episodes after that, but at least watch one together. And for parents, check out the link in the packet to the Carl Brandon Society, which supports new fiction writers of color and other ethnicities who focus their work on race and ethnicity. They have a scholarship to help writers, and so your membership of $25 a year would go to help support that scholarship. And if you're part of a book club, consider reading one of the fiction books connected to these Black writers. And again, in the packet, there is a link where you can find some of these works that you could consider for your book group. Our next segment that we'll explore this week is On the Porch, Raising a Child of Imagination Together. And this segment is meant just for you adults, you parents that are co-parenting in this wonderful world. So we'll spend a few minutes together sharing. And in this segment we have two parts. The first one is called A Sip of Something New. And the idea is to explore a new thought or idea together. And for this month, it revolves around a poem by Shel Silverstein, who is a very imaginative writer and poet. So grab a small piece of paper or an index card, pen, pencil, whatever you prefer to write with, and then read this poem out loud. You will find it in the packet, so look for it there. It goes like this. Listen to mustn'ts, child. Listen to don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. And then sit and think for a minute about your childhood. And remember those things that you imagined about yourself when you thought about the future and how the world would be and work. And all the things that you were told that you couldn't, shouldn't, mustn't, and never could. And maybe you will notice that one or two of these things still kind of hurts a bit when you think about it. If so, write those down on this piece of paper. And after you've done that, share what you've written, and then have a ceremonious burn, in a little can or pot, and burn those pieces of paper. See how you feel after you've done that. And at the end of your burning, you could read the blessing at the end of the packet or say your own little blessing. The next part of our On the Porch is called Spiritual Snacks to Share. And this is a series, a list of questions that you can consider. And the idea is just to pick one or two that call to you, not to go through the whole list and do them all. But of course, if you really want to, you could. So I picked out a couple of the questions that spoke to me. What's the best thing you daydreamed recently? How many of us adults ever daydream anymore, I wonder? And then, how is parenting better than what you had imagined it would be? Or how is it harder? Especially this year with all that is going on in the world and with the pandemic. And lastly, Does imagination ever distract you from your day-to-day work, responsibilities, reality, living? And then the last one I'd like to share that called to me was, how do your friends and circle of supporters help you imagine yourself as better than you sometimes think you are? If you're like me, you tend to think worse of yourself than other people do. So how do your friends and the people closest to you help you imagine yourself better? That's all for this week. I hope you have a good rest of the week coming ahead. And next week will be our last week in our theme of imagination, where we will explore at the bedside and a blessing, and then going the extra mile. Until then, blessed be.